All right, grade 6. In today's session, we will start by having reading comprehension. In today's reading comprehension, we are starting by a comprehension that is named Brown Girl Dreaming. Brown Girl Dreaming. And Brown Girl Dreaming, it was written by Jacqueline Woodson. Jacqueline Woodson. And we will know a little about Jacqueline Woodson now. Okay. So, regarding Jacqueline Woodson, of course, this is called a memoir or a memoir. A memoir. What is the meaning of a memoir? Have you heard this word before? A memoir?
No, teacher.
Okay, no problem. Yes, Iyad? Iyad, do you have a question?
Is it about just like she's expressing a memory she had or something like that? Or her
Excellent,
child?
Iyad. Very good. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Very good. So, a memoir is like expressing a memory that you have. So, it's written in something that is called a first person narrator. First person narrator. So, a memoir, once again, it's something that you share with other
Sorry,
people.
teacher, that
Like
I'm late.
talking about your memories. Yes?
Sorry that I'm late, teacher.
Never mind. Never mind. It's the first day and it's okay. All right. And the session is recorded. Everything is going to be very good. So, a memoir means something that you share with other people from your own memory. And while writing memoirs, usually we write it in a form of prose. Prose means like lines by each other. But this memory is a little bit different from other memories. So let's read an introduction about it and then try to read it. So who can read? Let's see. Fahd Al-Utaibi. Okay, all of you are gonna read. Have no worries. But let's see if you are still with me. Fahd Al-Utaibi, do you have a mic?
Teacher, I
Yes?
don't think.
Okay. Fahd, can you read please?
Uh,
Yes, Fahd.
Chapter
Jacqueline?
9.
Jacqueline
What's up?
Houston?
One of today's finest writers tells the moving story of her childhood in mesmerizing verse.
Bravo. So Jacqueline Woodson, she's one of today's finest writers. She's one of the best writers nowadays. And she's telling us the moving story of her childhood, the memory from her childhood in a mesmerizing verse. Verse here means poetry. You have studied poetry before, right?
Yes, teacher.
And all of us love poetry. So let's see. Raised in South Carolina. South Carolina, very important, and both New York. So she lived in two separate places. First South Carolina, and later she moved on to New York. She always felt halfway home in each place. In vivid poems, she shares what it's like to grow up as an African American in the late 1960s. So she's an African American girl raised in South Carolina in some place like a village, and later she moved on to live in New York. And she's telling us about the memory of her American or African American childhood in both the late 60s and also 70s. Living, of course, with a remnant of Jim Crow and her growing awareness of the civil rights movement. And we shall speak about that later, how the African American people started asking for their own civil rights because they were mistreated in their own land. Touching and, of course, powerful, each poem in both acceptable and also emotionally charged. Each line a glimpse into a child's soul as she searches for the place in the world. Woodson eloquent poetry also reflects the joy of finding her voice through writing story. One of you in the first session told me that he loves reading and he hopes to be a writer. So also Jacqueline found her joyness in writing. By writing, she felt that she is very happy. Despite the fact that she struggled with reading as a child, her love of stories inspired her and also stayed with her, creating the first spark of the gifted writer she was to become. So, just in few lines, we can say that first of all, she's one of the finest writers. She wrote in poetry, and she speaks about her childhood from changing from one place, which is South Carolina, into New York, just like that. So, for the summary of our story today, let's see. Yad, can you read the summary, please?
Yes, teacher. This expert comes from Jacqueline Woodson's memoir, Brown Girl Dreaming, and verse Woodson tells of her childhood, describing the joys and hardships of her life. Some of the important themes that weave through the memoir and of her life, moving from south to north, the bonds and rivalry among the family members, and the importance of imagination. Woodson beautifully expressed the roots of her interest in language and storytelling, the desire to catch words on one day.
The desire to catch words one day. Very good, Yad. So, Yazan. Hello, Yazan.
Yes, teacher.
What do you understand from the summary, Yazan, in this excerpt? And by the way, excerpt means a part from a whole. Part from a whole. Part, small part from a whole. Like we have a very, very huge book, okay? And we just take part from this book. So we have excerpt comes from Jacqueline Woodson Memoir. What do you understand from the summary, Yazan?
Wait, let me read again.
Okay, I'll read it again. In this excerpt comes from Jacqueline Woodson Memoir, and we said that memoir means a memory from the past. It's a book called The Brown Girl Dreaming. And the verse are the lines of poetry. Verse, the lines of poetry. She tells about her childhood, the memory of her childhood, describing the joy and the hardships of her life. And also, she expresses about what moving from the south to the north. That's a very important theme. Theme means a case or something that we are gonna deal with. Moving from south to the north. Okay, Yazan?
Teacher, I don't understand.
So simply, we're gonna speak about a story about a little girl. This girl tells us about what happened to her when she was just a little girl. She moved, for example, from, let's say, Jeddah to Riyadh. Okay? She had some memories in Jeddah, and now she moved to Riyadh. What memories shall she has? And also, these memories are gonna be compared to that of Jeddah or not. So first, she lived in a place that is called South Carolina. That's in the south of America. And then she moved to New York. Yes, Yazan?
It's not me.
I beg your pardon? What, Yazan?
No, it's Khalid, not me.
Yes, Khalid. Yes, Khalid. How can I help you? No, I have sent that on Classera. Do not underline now until you receive your books. Okay? We will start reading from the book, and I just need you to grab a pen and a notebook. A pen and a notebook, so that you can write the important questions.
Teacher, I didn't get the book.
Yeah, I know that you didn't get the book. I'm gonna upload that to Classera today. Have no worries.
When will we get the book?
This week. You will have your books this week. And until then, everything that we have or gonna study, I'm gonna upload it to Classera. Okay?
Okay.
You will find in Classera here. you have here something that is called the course materials. All the files, PDF and PowerPoint, will be here. And also you have here the website library and also the photo library. Both of them I'm going to also use. So have no worries about anything until you receive the books. So once again, we're speaking about a young girl, and this girl moved from one place to another. Okay, Khalid? Any questions so far?
No, teacher, you can continue.
Okay, Saoud Basim Al Najran. Hello, Saoud.
Sir,
How are you doing, Saoud?
I'm good.
Okay, can you please start by reading the background? And by the way, this is page 13 in the book, once you receive the book. So grab a pen and a notebook and just be with me. When I tell you to write something, you write it. Okay,
sir.
Saoud, can you please start by reading this, the background?
As a child in 1960s, Jacqueline Woodson moved with her family from Greenville, South Carolina to Brooklyn in New York City. Her memoir, Brown Girl Dreaming, tells of her childhood experience growing up in both places. In a memoir, an author recalls important events in his or her life. Brown Girl Dreaming is an unique as a memoir because it is written in verse or as a poetry.
Bravo, 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 bravo. Very good, Saud. So once again, we're speaking about here, the background of our story is about a little girl. She moved from one place that is called Greenville in South Carolina into Brooklyn in New York. And by moving from one place, Jeddah, for example, to Riyadh, she's telling us about how she experienced growing in both places, how life in Jeddah was like, and now how it's in Riyadh like. Did any one of you change places? Any one of you,
Yes,
for example,
teacher.
was born in Jeddah and then came here, or in Dammam and came to Riyadh, or something like that?
No, teacher, but I like went for a little bit with an academy. We went to Sharqiya.
Sharqiya, yeah, in Khobar.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
Teacher.
am there. Yeah, one by one. Yes.
Sorry for being late because I wasn't refreshing my page.
Never mind, Raj. This is the first day, and the session is recorded. Have no worries, and please try again to come in time. So it's okay today. So once again, Rashid, we are speaking about the first reading comprehension. It's called From Brown Girl Dreaming. The background here is about one girl who moved from one place to another. Okay,
Teacher.
she was born first in Greenville, and then she moved into Brooklyn. Yes.
In Ramadan, I go to Mecca.
Mecca. It's a perfect place. So just imagine living in Mecca and living in Riyadh and having memories in Mecca and memories in Riyadh. And then compare both of them. Yes?
Teacher, I lived 3 years in Chicago because my father was learning master there, and my brother was born there.
So you have many memories in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And now when you meet your friends, you are trying to share these memories with them, right?
Yes.
Making a contrast or making something that is totally different. For example, in Chicago, there is a huge wind, for example, or some rain, or I had a lot of fun playing in the street. In Riyadh, unfortunately, I do not do that. So you do something in Riyadh that you couldn't do in Chicago, and vice versa. So that's exactly the theme of our reading today. Okay, because here Jacqueline Woodson is telling us about what is the difference between living in both places. Living first in Greenville as a village or a countryside, and now living in Brooklyn as a city. Okay,
Teacher, when will get our books?
this week, Rashid. Any other question? Okay, can you start reading? I need Turkey al-Dway.
Teacher, can I read?
Qahtani, okay, Khalid Qahtani. You
تركي
can start
الضويان
reading.
أيام
No problem. Okay, all of you are good. So start first by the first 5 lines.
The rain.
Yes.
The rain here is different than the way. It's rain. It's a grain file. No sweet milk on honey suckle. No soft squitch of of pine. No slip and slide through grasses. Just Mama saying, "Stay inside today. It's raining, and me at the window. Nothing to do but watch."
Okay, stop here, please. I'll read it once again. So, of course, we said that it's an excerpt, meaning that it's apart from the book. The book doesn't start here, but the reading comprehension starts from this line in the memoir. So, Jacqueline here started by saying the rain here is different than the way it rains in Greenville. So that is called contrast. Contrast means opposite, when you have two different things. So what here refers to? The rain here is different than the way it rains in Greenville. What does rain refer to?
Teacher, it's okay if I am.
Can I answer?
Yes?
هو يقدر me.
The other me? No. Here is a place.
No. Yet he wants to answer before me. Can I answer or
Yes, yeah, answer the other, no problem.
Refer is like different.
Different, okay, thank you very much. Iyad?
Teacher, it's just like compare between something and something else.
What are those two things? We have one. One of them is Greenville. So the other is she was born in Greenville and later she moved into
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Yes. So the rain here in Brooklyn is different than the way it rains in Greenville. So now she's comparing between how it rains in the city and how it rains in Greenville. What is she comparing about? Number one, she's telling us that no sweet smell of honeysuckle. Honeysuckle is the honey that comes from flowers. No sweet smell of honeysuckle, no soft squish of pine, no slip and slide through grass. Have anyone went to the countryside before?
No.
Yes.
Teacher, I went to Taif once.
If we said, for example, raining in the countryside, as you can see,
A video
Yes?
editor for all creators. What you doing there?
Hey there, my name's Sean.
that's a lot. So if you can see in front of you here, this is the countryside. And when it rains in the countryside, you will find always there is some mud on the street. The grass here is slippery, so if you moved on the grass or walked on the grass, it will be very difficult for you to move and perhaps you're gonna slip, right? So once again, she's comparing about how it rains in Greenville as a countryside, and now how it rains in Brooklyn as a city. Of course, all of us are living in Riyadh. When it rains in Riyadh, we do not see such a mud in the street because all the streets are paved, right? So it's pretty much easier for us to move in Riyadh or in the city. Yet, on the other hand, we do not have the smell of honeysuckle, we do not have the swish of thyme, and also we do not enjoy our day when it rains in Riyadh as if we are living in the countryside. And for here, just mama saying, stay inside today, it's raining. Stay inside today, it's raining. Can you please tell me why this was written in italics? Do you know italics? When the words are not straight,
Yeah.
but they are. Yes?
Teacher, because it's the mother saying it. It's someone in the
Bravo.
store, not just like
Bravo.
author.
Bravo, yeah. It's called what? Direct speech. Direct speech. What is the meaning of direct speech? When someone says something and I quote it as he said it. Direct speech. That's why we write it in italics. Okay? Any questions so far? So she started by comparing how it rains in Brooklyn and Greenville. And unfortunately, in Brooklyn, her mother always says, stay inside, it's raining. Any questions so far?
Yes, teacher.
Yes?
Why to stay inside? Why?
I'll tell you in the next session. Okay?
Okay.
Can you please exit now and join the other session?
Yes.
Okay.